Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. So, today I wanted to share a couple of topics that have become recently very important in my life, and they're sort of building upon some of the recent shares that I had. Um, these have to do with how do you protect yourself and guard yourself from negative consequences when we start maintaining and enforcing our healthy boundaries. So, we've talked about how do you not be taken advantage of by other people, and it sort of that expectation comes from us. We have to set the tone of what we accept and what we don't accept. Well, when I've been living my life in a certain way for so long and I've been allowing people to take advantage of me, that builds up a certain expectation on their part. And one of the universal truths about changing and growing as a person is that, everybody else in the world wants you to remain who you already are and who you've always been, because then they don't have to change. But if you change and they don't change, you end up they have to change and they don't necessarily feel comfortable doing so. So they may resist and they may try to make you out into the person that you used to be. As an aside, in addiction therapy, when it comes to substance abuse or alcohol or any other kind of addiction, they often talk about that leaving the environment of your family and your situation is important because family members and other friends help to make you stay the same as you used to be, as opposed to growing and developing. So somehow they need to be brought along for the process. So I want to share two brief examples about what it was like when I started enforcing boundaries with people close to me in my life. One of them was a very safe and positive experience. And one of them, honestly speaking, was not a very positive and safe experience. And I had to take certain precautions to make sure that no harm came to myself or others. So the first example is with my brother. So alhamdulillah, me and my brother have a very good relationship, but he's my big brother and I've always been the baby of the family, right? And so it was accepted and expected that as the baby of the family, I take direction and orders and commands and always agree with my older siblings and with my mom and with my dad and with everybody else. I was expected as the baby of the family to just sort of submit my own will and let go of my own ideas and my own opinions and let go of how it is that I'm feeling and how I think and all those kinds of things. Well, lo and behold, I became a man, right? So I'm growing up. I'm a grown man now. And so it took some time for my family, and in particular my brother, to understand. And alhamdulillah, my brother was pretty flexible about it. But one of the things that I did as I was letting him know is, I told him, hey, bro, in my life, I realized that I've been sort of put into this position because of my birth order, because I'm the youngest, that this is how everybody's been treating me. I just want to give you a heads up that there are going to be some changes in my life and some changes in my behavior, and I want to bring your attention to it and let you know that this is nothing personal. This is not an attack on you. I'm not saying you've done anything wrong. I'm just letting you know that I'm growing as a person. And I gave him a heads up. Just talking to him about it was helpful because he realized that, okay, my brother told me that this is going to be a change going on. It's not blindsiding him. A lot of times in relationships, when we start growing and changing and evolving and other people notice, they start getting blindsided by these changes and they wonder to themselves, oh my God, is he doing this in order to spite me? Is he doing this because all of a sudden he doesn't like me anymore? So in my example, when I started disagreeing and voicing my disagreement on things, it might have come as a shock to my brother. But because I informed him and I said, hey bro, don't take this personally. I'm not against you. I still love you. We're still on good terms. That was helpful for him as he transitioned into understanding that Omar's not the baby brother anymore. That kind of a thing. So I wanted to share that sometimes talking to the loved ones in our families, in our relationships, is helpful for being able to pass on the wisdom that we're living, to pass on our growth, to let them know that changes are going on in our lives, and to help smooth the transition process. There's also another example that I wanted to give, which was not so positive and not so beneficial. So I mentioned that there was a person in my life that I had been enabling and sort of being taken advantage of for my kindness for some time. And basically, and I'm going to try not to go into the details and the specifics to protect the privacy of those involved, but without going into details, this sort of came to a head yesterday. And one of the people involved who was violating my rights and violating my newly enforced boundaries wasn't so happy about it, and was on the verge of honestly becoming violent. Now, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah and not alhamdulillah, I suppose, but alhamdulillah, when I was younger, I was bullied a lot. And because I was bullied a lot, I decided to learn martial arts to be able to protect myself. So I don't, generally speaking, worry about confronting and standing up for my rights and making sure of things, because if somebody becomes violent, I know how to defend myself. At the same time, I want to share for you that when you enforce your boundaries with someone, particularly if they've been taking advantage of you for a long period of time, they may react hostile, and you want to take certain steps to negate their animosity and their anger and their hostility and try to resolve it in a peaceful way. So there are a couple of strategies that I'd suggest. And again, you know your situation best. Be careful whenever you're doing anything. Consider deeply when you approach these subjects. But one of the things that I would recommend that you do is to have a friend or a witness either in person with you when you're confronting the person, or sort of on standby. Let them know that what's going on. Tell them, I may need your help later. If something goes bad, I want to let you know what's going on. So let people know what's going on. That's one idea. The other idea is, of course, depending on where you live, have the police, the emergency numbers close at hand if in case something does go sour. Hopefully things in your life are not such to that point that there may be violence, but you never know. So that's one other thing. But one of the other things I wanted to mention is about how to enforce your boundaries without provoking or inciting a reaction. So in this situation that happened yesterday, there were two people involved. One who was, sort of an innocent bystander, if you will, and one of them who was the person who was making the mistake and violating the rules and violating the boundaries. And the person who was the innocent bystander, when the aggressor ended up trying to provoke a response and make threats and position himself in an aggressive way, the innocent bystander actually responded like, hey man, what are you going to do? Don't fight me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So they were sort of, if you imagine a dance, they were sort of going along with the dance. They were responding to the provocateur, to the person who's trying to provoke anger. He was sort of playing into that game and responding, because when an aggressor wants to be aggressive, they will try to provoke you in such a way that you respond in aggression that justifies them being physically violent. So one of my suggestions is, and what I did in the situation, was placate, sort of calm down the aggressor, not engage when he starts making empty threats or real threats, not engaging them, not talking about them, not promoting his anger, calming him down, but at the same time not relenting. So remaining firm in your principle, remaining firm in the boundary that you're setting. No, this is not okay. You need to leave. This is the end of the day. This is not going to happen again. I'm not going to engage with you in this way, but you need to leave. If I need to get the police involved, I will. Whatever you have to say, whatever you have to do, maintaining your tone, maintaining your composure, but at the same time, not inciting and fighting back. So whenever people fight or get into an argument, right? If somebody fights you, you either fight back or you run away, right? Fight or flight. But the idea here is maintain your composure, stay calm, stay relaxed, but maintain your boundary. So that in this event last night, it ended up resolving itself. The person left. The situation unfolded. It was a positive experience. No harm done. No violence. Nothing happened. I didn't have to break anybody's bones. It was fun. So anyway, my only point is that it can be de-escalated, and it is important when you begin enforcing boundaries that you have to anticipate that people who have been in the habit of violating your boundaries, they will feel like they are being almost insulted or taken advantage of because they've been used to getting their way. And this actually has a lot to do with white supremacy and a lot of these other concepts, that when you have a position of privilege, justice and fairness actually feels like oppression. And so you have to be very careful, and you want to take steps to make sure that you placate, take necessary defensive and safety precautions, and again, remember that you are worthy of enforcing proper boundaries and not being taken advantage of. This is something God placed you on earth as a representative of His. He placed us all on earth to be caretakers of this world, and we have inherent honor and dignity. And when we remember that, we will remember that we are not to be taken advantage of for our kindness, and that we are empowered and we have the right and the responsibility to enforce our boundaries. And again, with wisdom and with knowing that there are certain things that we have to do to make sure that it's a happy process for everybody involved. So that was my message for today. I hope it's been helpful. Feel free to share. Go ahead, and if you haven't already clicked on the survey and you wanted to get additional resources, go ahead and do that. And if you wanted to, please share and let other people know. If there are any thoughts or feelings or reactions that you had to this video, experiences of yours, feel free to share in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. With you be peace.